Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Expansive Astrology. This is Pisces season week 2. We're talking all about Pisces and the tarot. So the cards that correlate with Pisces are the Moon card, the Hanged One, because it's ruled by Neptune, the Wheel of Fortune, which is ruled by Jupiter, and the Suit of Cups, because they represent the element of water, and Pisces is water energy. So this is the week where I teach you what the tarot brings and like what these cards mean so that we can tap into Pisces even deeper in an even more informed, deeper way and make sure that we are really aligning ourselves with our goals and really aligning ourselves with Pisces and all the medicine and invitations and beauty that the season brings. I love Tarot Week. It's Tarot Week. So all of these cards, in differing ways, they all have to do with some sort of waiting, surrendering, letting go, spaciousness, suspension. And with any sort of letting go energy, there's a sense of a new day that's just on the horizon. So to start, we have the moon. The moon. This is intense, complex energy that, in a little nutshell, is basically all about being able to find comfort with the unknown. How do we handle the darkest of the dark in the night? How do we deal with sitting in the void where we have no idea what is happening or what is to come? This is an invitation to surrender to the unknown, to surrender to mysterious times, which makes us uncomfortable. This makes us really uncomfortable. The nervous system, the ego, the brain do not like these moments of unknowns, right? Especially when we've experienced any sort of trauma, like this dog on the card who is losing its poor mind. He looks so distressed. If a dog could be pale, this dog is pale. He's losing his mind. Part of the medicine this card brings is in helping us to remember that even in these moments, we have a choice in how we show up. We always have a choice in how we show up. And the moon also reminds us that nothing is permanent. The moon is the perfect reminder that everything has phases. Everything is waxing and waning and changing with the seasons. And this is why the second dog is able to be so calm. And we know how difficult it can be to see things by moonlight compared to sunlight, right? We're not always able to see in the moonlight. So this card represents where that moonlight is shining brightly. Something is being illuminated. Some aspect that might be very deep down, something's being illuminated, even in the dark, even if it's hard to see. Are you willing to explore what that is? What is being illuminated? How will you explore it? Will you bring in even more support and care for those parts of yourself that feel really afraid of this process? When we're willing to see what's being shown to us, even in the darkness, even in the midst of the unknown, that's what helps us to really close out anything that's lingering. And remember, that's a huge invitation with Pisces season. This is the end of the zodiacal wheel, the end of the astrological year. We're being asked to close out anything that's lingering. And in order to do that, we have to look at what's lingering. We have to look into the depths of ourselves. And when we choose to surrender, rather than like freaking out and holding on, it helps us to clear out another layer. It helps us to move through any lingering egoic shit that wants to have control, that feels like it needs to have control, that feels like it needs to know all the details. And it allows us to sink back into comfort with the unknown, comfort with the way that we are floating through this fool's journey that we're floating through. So in this energy, we can really tune in and ask, which dog are we choosing to be? If we're the one that's totally freaking out, like, that's all right, that's valid, totally valid. And this card reminds us that we don't have to be that dog. We can be the other dog. We are both dogs, and we get to make a choice. Lindsay Mack says we learn in moon energy how to work with these scenarios through our lives. When things are unknown, we can either fight it, attempt to enact control, or we can be with what is and really get to learn. We really get to learn that in this energy. So some symbolism on the card, besides the fact that one dog is like feral and freaking out, barking at the moon, and the other is surrendering. There are also two towers representing a passageway into something new. The moon is very close to the earth and like allowing its light to sprinkle down and shine down, allowing us or showing us that something's being illuminated. The moon is having such a strong gravitational pull that the crawfish are crawling out of the waters and the tides are moving, which symbolizes like those things that like crawl out of the depths of our psyche to be looked at. So that's a little bit of moon energy. What I really take away from the moon card is that aspect of choice. We get to choose which dog to be, and the fact that something is being shown to us, even if we're like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. Like, there are so many questions and mysteries, and I'm not sure what the right move is, right? We can really be in that and also know that the moon is illuminating something to us, even in the darkness. And then, of course, the beautiful reminder that everything happens in phases and cycles, and no matter what phase we're in right now, it's gonna change. We're gonna shift cycles, we're gonna shift phases eventually. So that leads us to the Hanged One. I really love the Hanged One. I love this card. In this card, we see a being hanging upside down, seemingly stuck, and yet they are unbothered. They're not in distress. Not only that, but they're enlightened. We can see that by the light around this being's head. They're enlightened. This card is all about holding space for resistance and discomfort without identifying with it. Surrendering and letting go, allowing a process to unfold in its own time. That all comes along with the Hanged One energy. This is an invitation to allow yourself to fully process and be complete with some cycle, situation, habit, pattern, relationship, something that is no longer meant for us. This is about hanging out in the process of shedding that thing. Keyword is process here. This can be about seeing things from a new perspective. Our vision has been flipped upside down and we can see things differently now. We're sitting in the midst of a profound inward journey. The Hanged One holds us where we are until we've experienced all there is to experience, until we've gone as deeply and as thoroughly through the thing as we need to. So are you resisting? Can you be willing to be with that resistance that might arise? And can you choose to roll with the process anyway? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that sort of thing? Ultimately, this is the energy that prepares us for the death card, right? This is the process of those stages of grief and death. It's the process of anger, the denial, the bargaining, the depression, the acceptance, the grief cycle that doesn't necessarily happen in a neat cycle. We can be all over the map at any given time when it comes to grief. And this is the process of those things. It's the process we go through before we find meaning. So often we just want to jump to that part, right? We just want to make it make sense and be done with the pain and be done with the discomfort. And that isn't always possible. And that's what the Hanged One reminds us, that even in these times, even in those experiences, that process is beautiful and it needs to unfold the way it unfolds. This is where we really start to experience and understand the process of death and letting go. This is where we get really quiet and close with ourselves, where we explore our own resistance, the reasons that we attach to certain things, fight with or fight for certain things, where we try to escape certain things or escape certain discomforts. This is all about the process of letting go, whatever that looks like. And Lindsay Mack describes the Hanged One as saying, I'm going to help you move through the final stages of what it is to surrender completely to this chrysalis experience, to actually let go of all of your caterpillar self because you're ready to fly. That's a quote from Lindsay Mack. I love it. So some symbolism on this card. The being in the car on the card is being suspended from a branch. And some say the branch belongs to the tree of life itself. The being is calm and surrendered as they are suspended with a halo of light, which, as I mentioned, symbolizes enlightenment and awareness. This being isn't just closing its eyes and gripping and waiting for the end. It's wide awake, acutely aware of what is going on, even though surely it's uncomfortable. The Hanged One, and ruled by Neptune, which is that planet of like mystery and illusion and the unknown and like discomfort in some ways. Love those invitations. And we also have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune asks us, when things are unclear, how do we return to a sense of centeredness? So what I spoke last week about how like the energy of Jupiter and the energy of Neptune seem to be so opposing, and yet their relationship together is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it really represents what Pisces is, which is so much like all over the map, both optimistic and like, whoa, what is going on at the same time. So this is a beautiful place to be when we're talking about the moon and the Hanged One. When things are unclear, how do we center ourselves? How do we deal with that? The Wheel of Fortune is all about finding our center so that we can be present with and surrender to changes as they occur. This is the card that has us ask, even when things are very unclear, how do we show up and respond from a space of centeredness? This card is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is expansion. So this invites us into an act of choosing to surrender. This is about rewilding ourselves, rewilding our sense of time, like kind of letting go of the egoic brain shit where we need to know all the answers and we need to have control and we need to be gripping onto the wheel. Rather than gripping onto the wheel, we're centering ourselves in the middle of the wheel. We know that things are unfolding in ways that we can't possibly control, no matter how hard we try. So the Wheel of Fortune is an invitation to come back into the center in the midst of great change, where we're not attaching to the future or to the past or to time at all. We're not attaching to our ideas of what things need to look like. We're learning to work with our circumstances without gripping for control. You have a choice. Again, like the dogs in the moon card, we have a choice. We can either try to grip the wheel and steer according to what we think we need to do, or you can release control of that wheel and watch things unfold around you from a very centered place. And really, gripping onto the wheel is where we feel like we'll have control, but really letting go is the ultimate act of having control. You know what I mean? So when we're in Wheel of Fortune energy, we can say to ourselves, like, whoa, there's a lot happening. The world is spinning around me. There's an expansion coming for me. And I don't need to know. I do not need to know the details. In fact, it's safest to presume that you never know what's going on, that we never know what is about to unfold for us. This is an opportunity to outgrow the idea that you do need to know. You don't need to know. We can outgrow trying to control every aspect of our lives. And if your brain is like, what? I don't think so, lady. Really be with that and honor that. And like, those times that we tell ourselves that we know what to expect and we know what's going on and we know what's best for us, like that's all an illusion anyway. We don't know shit. We don't know shit. Think of a time when you thought you knew what you wanted and then life handed you something completely different from that turned out to be better. 100 times better. And the opposite can be true sometimes too. But we don't need to know everything. And even when we think that we have a good idea of what's going on, that's an illusion. We don't know. We don't know shit. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that, like, what does it look like to be in the center of our wheel, no matter what is surrounding us? It's those times we're asking, what is in front of me that I don't want to deal with? What's inside of me that I don't want to deal with? And this might be the most mundane, generic of tasks, like doing your taxes, brushing your teeth. How can you center yourself where you are and just control what you can control, which might mean doing your taxes and brushing your teeth? How can you be with these things that you don't want to deal with? How can you be with them anyway? How can I maintain a sense of centeredness no matter what's going on within me and around me? How can I maintain a sense of centeredness even when my brain is like totally freaked out about what is or is not happening within or around me? More surrender, more letting go, which is the song of Pisces. Surrender and letting go. So some symbolism, we have the 4 fixed signs of astrology represented on the card: Taurus the bull, Aquarius the angel, Scorpio the ego, Leo the lion. This card has a whole lot of symbology that I don't even totally understand at this point in my journey. On the wheel, we have a snake moving to the left, which symbolizes the perpetual growing and shedding that happens in life. The Anubis, I believe is how it's pronounced, the god of the dead and involving the afterlife, keeping, again, representing like the life, death, rebirth cycle. The Sphinx is holding a sword, symbol of air, so representing like a keeper of truth, knowledge, and mysteries. And in the middle of the wheel are all kinds of alchemical symbols. For salt, mercury, sulfur, and water, which are the building blocks of life, I've heard of more symbology happening within the wheel that I can't speak to because I don't understand it. So I'm not going to speak to it. But there's a lot going on in this card, a lot of symbology that I encourage you to look into if you would like. Wheel of Fortune. Surrender, letting go. And finally, I'm going to briefly, I pulled out all the cups from my deck. I'm going to briefly talk about the Suit of Cups, because cups are water energy and Pisces is water energy. So the Suit of Cups is all about our emotional center, our hearts. These cards indicate how we feel. Don't mind my parrot downstairs screeching this whole freaking time. These cards indicate how we feel, how we express our feelings, our interactions with other people, relationships with other people, how we care for ourselves and others, our relationship with our intuition, all things water, right? And really, some people emphasize like relationships when it comes to the Suit of Cups. According to Soul Centered Tarot, which is the tarot that I use and appreciate most. The suit invites us to love ourselves, to be intimate and vulnerable with ourselves. The cups are about choosing ourselves over and over and over again, choosing to fully allow ourselves to feel what it is we're feeling. It all comes back to us. At the end of the day, even if we're working with themes of partnership and romantic relationships, at the end of the day, it all comes back to us, right? This is a reminder that really no one can give us anything that we can't give ourselves. The old cliche is true. Like we have to love ourselves in order to accept love from others. And the cups remind us to provide those things that we're seeking and needing to ourselves. So what fills your cup? Explore what nourishes your heart. What feels extra hard to love about yourself? We get to reclaim a connection to ourselves. Reclaim a connection to yourself. This is all about loving the self, checking in with the self, honoring our intuitive knowing, allowing grief, and allowing contentedness as they arise. Being with our feelings, whatever they are, as they arise. This suit helps us in being in relationship with the heart and our emotions, whatever that looks like at any given time. How can you refine your relationship with your heart and your emotions during this season? How can you refine your relationship with your heart and your emotions during this season? That's one of the beautiful invitations and medicines with Pisces season, is helping us to really refine our relationship within ourselves, in our inner world, our inner cave, the depths of our emotional ocean, if you will. We get to really refine that and like explore what that looks like. Even in times of suspension and unknowing and discomfort and unknowing. What do you need to let go of in order to refine your relationship with your heart and yourself? What do you need to let go of in order to allow others in to that space with you? Letting go, letting go, letting go. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Some huge invitations this season. So that's all I have for you for this week. I really hope that this served. I hope that it's inspiring. I hope that it kind of serves as some food for thought on how you can be with Pisces even more fully and really dive in and like make the most of what this season can be. I hope this served. Drop a comment and let me know your understanding of these cards, how they're different, how this adds to it, what your goals are for this season. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have you subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing here, what I'm trying to do here. I'd love to have you join, trying to grow the channel. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you. I will see you next week. We're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into the depths of our inner ocean this season. So I hope you're ready. Next week might get a little more intense. I will see you then. Take really good care of yourself. Until then, don't hesitate to let me know how you're doing or what you think. I love to hear from you. Until then, take really good care of yourself. I'll see you next week. Bye.